Just started.
No, is that in the way? Hi everyone, sorry. Thanks very much, Naomi, for recording this. I'm at the Schoolhouse for Art in Enniskerry and delighted to be with all of you here. And I wanted to let you know actually that you have inspired me to do the first video in months. I haven't done videos for ages, so it's been really lovely to see everyone's work and to feel that kind of creative buzz happening. So I really appreciate that. And this is day 2 of a 4-day, or some people are here for the 4, some days, so most people I'd say will be finishing today. So anyway, this is the second of a 2-day course, and Ellen is our lovely model. You mightn't see her so much, but I'm going to be painting her on here, and maybe once or twice, Naomi, if your arms aren't killing you, you can focus the camera on the model as well. And those of you who are here, we have permission to send a photo of Ellen out from my viewpoint, so you'll be able to maybe work from the video if you wanted to or something. Yeah. Okay, thanks Ellen for that. Alright. So the first thing is to kind of make sure that you know this, but make sure that you're still in a position that feels easy. There's a couple of folk earlier that we kind of moved it up or down according to where you were painting. If you're focusing mostly on the face, you'll be wanting that to be the area kind of, I don't have a thing where I measure from the shoulder or anything, but really just to find ease in the looking and drawing down. You want to find a kind of, an ease of transition to get into a rhythm, so that the last thing you're seeing is the model before you see the page. And I know that none of you now can see the 3/4 view that I've got of Ellen, but you can see it happening hopefully here. And I like to be able to look out the left side if as I'm right-handed. The reason I should give a reason for that, because I find that my energy is kind of open then to both the painting and the model. So if I was working over my arm, it would feel like there was a boundary there. So that's the thing that I don't know if it's partly in my head, but that's what I do now. And I do find there's something in that open stance that feels like there's more available in it or something. Okay, so now I'm going to begin with the 1.5-inch brush, I reckon. And I'll start at the back of the head. Might need to put some more Van Dyke brown on it as well, actually, because Ellen's got this lovely dark hair. And there's something about it being anchored down at the back there. It's funny, there's a balance between being excited and not tense, isn't there, when you're working, like to have this kind of urgency, a sense of urgency a little bit, but there's a lovely breeze there. You're looking very windswept and interesting. And get a chair if you need to sit down, anybody. But there's a kind of there's a line, isn't there, between that what was I talking about? Urgency, sense of urgency, like it matters more than anything in the world, this next move, and also to abandon it. Like I think it was Leonardo da Vinci apparently said, a painting isn't finished, it's abandoned. Yeah. And I think we can do that with every mark almost, to just gather up the enthusiasm to make it, commit to the mark, and then let it be, and move on. And I say that like we're talking kind of things I hope to aspire to in my life rather than what happens every time. But it creeps up on you by accident if you start to enjoy yourself, Okay. So we've got the blue, this is ultramarine blue, which looks like that, mixed with the Van Dyke brown, which looks like that. The Winsor & Newton version and the Daniel Smith Van Dyke brown is what I use, because it's got more black in it. And mixed with the ultramarine blue, it gives a good dark, I find. So what I'm trying to do is to find something to establish the back, like to anchor down the back body. And as I'm doing it, rather than have the same mark all the way along, and especially seeing as I know the hair is falling onto the shoulder and describing the cross section of the shoulder, I'm going to create a different mark as I move down towards the shoulder for where the hair stops and the skin of the shoulder and the chest begin there. And we've got a line that's almost vertical below the ear, and where the hair meets the back of the neck. Don't know if I've set that in space too soon, I think, because actually it's not one of the most significant edge is that neckline. So I'm just going to lose, oh Jesus, I thought it was a clean brush. I was just going to lose it again. But what we can do now, if that happens, this is what not to do in this demonstration. But if that happens, you can always just lift it off, and then I'm conscious that I'm not going to go there for a little while because it's a little bit damp. Yeah. So I think I'll go with the 2-inch brush. So you want to kind of err on the side of using the bigger brush. If you think err on the side of bigger rather than smaller than the mark that you want to make, because there's something lovely. I think in every move, err on the side of that wild goose, expanding rather than contracting. Begin with the expanded mark, and then you can fine tune and consider, and carve it in. But I think there's something about, is courage bold favors the brave? What is it? Something like that. If you're brave, you have the universe behind you. Fortune favors the brave. Is that right?
Yeah.
Close.
Something like that. So if you have the gumption to go for it, sometimes the universe will respond and meet you there. Sometimes. I don't know. It needs to be clean, though, the intent, I think. Right, so I'm finding the kind of general shape. I know that it slopes down the way as we come towards the forehead. Yeah. Okay. And then there is it's a very soft kind of edge that happens here. But what I think can explain it, and it's a bit early to be deciding it for sure, but it's okay because this is light enough paint that we can lift it off. It's okay. And the blue especially comes off easily enough. So I think what will help with defining the position of the face is to locate where the neck is. And I'm drawing a diagonal through the face and seeing where it would enter and exit the face in order to find that line. And the dark of the hair beyond Ellen's chin and neck are what will kind of explain it for me a little bit. And now I'm going to see if I can do something for that, the subtle shadow that's creating the beautiful, graceful curve that Ellen has here. There's a kind of as I half close my eyes, I notice that it is definitely darker there than it is, say, where the light is hitting the cheekbone. So what I generally do is mix the cadmium red with the sap green. And because there's a beautiful rosy kind of glow, in general, maybe where the light hits I think until I'm arriving at the lighter bit, I'm going to put a bit more green in so that it isn't quite so rosy. Because I want it to read as though it's receding here, or sitting back at least a little bit. And it's possible even in creating this line, as I look freshly again and see that maybe the underneath the jaw is going to drop down a tiny bit further than I have it. Even already I can make an adjustment without lifting that yet. So in every new move there's an opportunity to make changes, and I would say it's almost the process of painting is that, is the making changes. So I'm just going to, I'm just kind of, oh Jesus, that's still got loads of blue in it, doesn't it, that paintbrush? I'll try and pick up the colour. So I should pretend that I'm meaning to do this so that you know what not to do. Alright, but it's not the end of the world there actually. Better check it. Okay, so with my eyes half closed, I want there to be something delineating the edge of the jaw there, and something that shows that the underside goes back to the neck. So I'm kind of reluctant to really lift out that just now. Something about that that's it's no harm for it to sit there for a while. And then I think I could go back up. What am I doing? Just bring it out a little bit further. And then maybe we can go back. Will I do that now? I'm wondering. It's interesting how it's presenting, every new move is presenting a challenge or a decision needs to be made, and sometimes it's like bite the bullet and just decide and do something. And it doesn't mean that you're working blindly. Focus on the thing, but kind of forgive yourself if it's not completely exactly the right thing to do or something, and just move on. I think, thank God I work with paint like this because it's the one thing that I think allowed me to stay a little bit sane in the world, you know, the idea of kind of, what is it there now? That it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not life or death. You're practicing the life or death feeling in something that doesn't matter. So it's like, you've got, you know, there's a risk and it feels like everything is involved in every single mark, but actually it's okay too. And it's the opportunity to learn to find ease in risk, as a Jonathan who says. Okay. Hold nothing back, learn to find ease in risk. Alright, so here we go now with something of the shadow of the eyebrow. Maybe you might start there. And I think they're pretty well horizontal, I think. Maybe this one is slightly lower than the other eyebrow. But I'm kind of conscious of the shape of the skin on the other side of the nose here. I might just try and identify roughly where the nose could be located. And then I'll put a shadow underneath it. So there's a kind of a dance between being bold and tentative, not tentative, but just placing it in a sure enough way, maybe not strong enough that it can't be retrieved. So there's a dance between the two things there, I reckon. And dropping a straight line down from the corner of the eye there, the nose sits to the right of it. So I'm just I know that I want the nose to sit to the right of that. And also there's an equal distance roughly in that position to there, you know. And the nose tilts up the way. Okay. Just something to describe the shadow underneath the nose. And I'm going to leave it alone then for a while and move on, because you'll find that it can be a blob. And if you find the location of the, thanks very much for holding that.
You're great.
If you can find the location of the cavity of the nostrils in that blob, it'll let you know the turn. So really focus on the shape of the nostrils and how far apart they are from each other, what this one looks like in relation to this one, and that'll help. Once that's dry, it'll help to explain the turn of the nose. And now I'm going to move down. I've kind of said this to most people. I don't know, it's my formula, I suppose. It's my shorthand way of working through the face, is to find these, is to locate these shadows. So that the eyebrows, the two directions of the eyebrows, if you like, or maybe just where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose. I might need to shift that up a little bit as I look again at Ellen. Might need to be a touch higher, away from the nose a little bit further. And then I'm going to move down. So we've got the shadow of the eyebrows, the shadow underneath the nose, which is a combination probably of the shadow that's attached to the nose and cast by the nose. And then there's the dark that's created by the overbite of the upper lip as it sits out, you know, and the lower lip is like a shelf catching the light. The upper lip from this viewpoint anyway is significantly darker than the lower lip is. And even then you can find the diagonal of the lip on the other side and see that it cuts through the shadow of the eye kind of thing. These diagonals might not always be right, like, but you can kind of at least try it, like, and then try it another time if it feels like it needs to shift. Like I was saying to you, Caroline, I think it's helpful to have at least 2 points of reference, maybe even 3 if you can. You know, that the mouth might be on the horizontal a bit lower than the ear. I need to lift the ear. And the corner of the mouth, if I was to draw a straight line up, might go through the shadow there. So there's 2 points. You're not working blindly, completely making a beautiful mouth in the wrong place. You know. And even if it is needing to be tweaked, it's possible to tweak it when it's only one layer that you're putting down. Like one layer of paint isn't going to be very difficult to move generally. And remember to breathe, of course. Just finding the shadow that's underneath the lower lip there now. I put a little bit of sap green into the lip colour in order that it doesn't read as lip colour anymore. And there's the shape to that shadow that on this side it moves back a little bit. Comes back like that. And here it seems to go maybe more vertically or even in the way actually, like that. And then there's a little bit of a warmer shadow, I think, in the little, there's a slight indentation on Ellen's chin that just feels a little bit warmer. I had a little flash of kind of, oh, you're not getting it, it's not looking like her or something that came into my head there. And I remembered that I don't mind. Like I'm actually just trusting that whatever I see in every moment is enough. And just keep going with that. And I'm not, you know, there's nobody here looking over your shoulder saying that's not how you do it. You do it the way you do it. And you're the boss of your life, you know. Okay. I might use the cadmium, I don't know if that's cadmium orange kind of, is it? I might have it in the bag if I didn't put it on the list. Anyway, even the yellow mixed with the cadmium red would be the same thing, I think. And that's the colour I'm after, really, a little bit of that. So it's kind of nice feeling like I'm looking up at her, the way that she's tilting her head. I feel like there's something quite majestic in her pose. That's appealing to me. And then there'll be some of that warmth, which I like with the blue of the hair. And then as I wanted to go down there now, but if I was to use that brush going into the neck, I'd be making a texture in the neck. And I just want to make a shadow. So I'm using the biggest, oh, is that your?
Yeah, it's okay, sorry.
I'm using the biggest brush. I have 2 rolls somewhere. I'm using the biggest brush to make just one, hopefully one mark, or maybe it might be a couple. But yeah. And I can let it drop down there a little bit, and maybe I'll bring a bit of warmth in just as it becomes, as it gets closer to the, we've got 5 minutes, that's good. As it gets closer, well, it's good from my point of view, and sorry, maybe not inside. As it gets closer to where the shard, there's a triangle of light skin there that shows, you see the cast shadow of the head now is landing here. This is the edge of the head shadow, the chin maybe or something. And that is somehow letting us know that the direction her head is turning in. There's something about capturing the edge of a shadow truly that really gives evidence of the turn of the head. And the same thing with things like the top there now. I mean, I want to leave enough skin in the neck that it'll reach up to the eyebrow about. And just to find the curvature of the neck will let us know the cross section of the body there too. There's something about the seated figure that can be explained by simply the curve of the t-shirt and looking at the shape that's created between the chin, the neck, and the C shape of the t-shirt meeting the skin there. And it might be that I only need to do this part of it. Like if you do a complete circle, sometimes it can be a bit, you know, it's nice having an unbroken edge, especially where it's light. The t-shirt reads as something very light there. And there's of course the hair coming down that side, but I'm not so inclined yet to complete the hair there. I might not do that because I don't know if it really needs that. And even the cast shadow of the head on the wall behind is maybe not necessary either. You know? Just gonna roll some of this off instead of using the whole roll. Jeez, this gas is like 100 miles an hour. But it feels really exciting. Thanks for tolerating this, Carrie. Alright. So the next thing, maybe, you know, sometimes it's no harm to look away from it, because when you look back, something might inspire you that'll be different, that'll cause it to go in a new and different direction. And I think with this kind of carry-on, at least for me, I want to feel like there's nothing pedantic about it. There's nothing that's predictable. Best I can. Always try and find the act about something that'll move me, break into new territory, if you can. Like, I don't know. There's something about welcoming that, and yeah. So what I was thinking was, I mean, it's not like you're probably looking for, you know, elephants and things now. It's going to be, it's not like it's weird or something, but just, I was thinking I could have just carried on doing the eyes and things, but what I felt when I stood back there was, I wanted to kind of get something of the diagonal, let's see now. It's something of the, like the cerulean blue, and to feel like it's pulling down there and higher here, but still moving away from the face. There's something about that, you know, that kind of direction, and her extending up from there. And I put in a little bit of warmth, so the crimson and a little bit of the You know, you can talk away if anyone wanted to ask anything. You will be on video, but you know, it's just my YouTube channel, so but you can ask away if there's anything to speak about. So I'm putting in some kind of a warm colour here for the ear and lifting it up because I remember that the nose was a little bit higher, or whatever I'm doing to it anyway, relocating it so that it sits convincingly with the position of the nose for me. And just an indication of some sort of warmth there seems to be enough. Maybe a little blush in the cheek too there. And then that's alright. Kind of shadows falling down from the hair. You know, the fringe is causing there to be lights and darks, and I'm maybe not wanting to put all of them in, but there's I kind of like a little bit of the shimmeriness of them there, and the same colour might be used to identify something of the shadows that are under here. Let's see now. And then this little bit here. This little bit here seems to have a bit of tone to it that might explain a bit more the feeling of Ellen's face. So there's some kind of like an extension of a roundedness that's happening here. Pardon? Do you think you could? It's quite hot, isn't it? Alright, maybe, will somebody time like another, maybe 3 minutes, Ellen, would that be alright?
Yeah. I can do that here.
Do you mind doing that? Oh,
Yeah.
pardon, thanks. Great stuff. I was just putting in something there, and then I think I could also bring some of that shadow along as well. Just to, there's the fine tuning that happens later on that, you know, you can start to really hone things and start to look at, okay, what really is happening here on this particular face? What is it that I'm seeing here? And what is it that's, yeah, just traveling around and kind of talking yourself around the face even. You can start to, you know, there's something about really being true to what's here.
It's a bit like a map.
It's a bit like placing things on a map. Yeah, that's a simple, it's lovely to simplify this down. And anything that allows you to simplify, but it's true, isn't it? It's like stepping stones and different coloured fields, really. Okay. Alright, and then the thing that I find helpful with the eye, probably go for the in-between size, is just to find the two directions of the eyelid. Maybe I'll establish the eyebrow a little bit more clearly first, so using the ultramarine blue with the Van Dyke brown in order to clarify the position of the eyebrows a little bit more and to deepen their tone once I've decided where I want them to be. So go in that direction, I think. And then there's one that goes like that. And maybe it's also dark a little bit further down, kind of thinner, maybe. And I think it goes a little bit dark as it comes in where the eyeball, you know, that it could kind of get a bit darker there too. And then of course we've got the shadow that comes up to meet the upper surface of the lower lid, which is kind of evident on this side nicely. And before doing any more in the eye, and maybe carry on bringing down the depth of tone that I've started to use here into the nose and in the mouth as well. Maybe warm that up a little bit. Like David was saying earlier, there's a band across the face here that has a warmth to it. You can see it in his painting as well. That has a warmth to it that's kind of exciting to have, just to even know that that's there. It'll inform the colours that we use in that area. That's maybe a little bit big, dominant. Okay, so I'd say this is the final minute now. Is that right, Naomi?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we're into the last minute. I'm going to carve just the corner of the. I'm going to carve the corner of the mouth because it doesn't feel like that's characteristic of Ellen's mouth. It seems like it needs to be dropping down more clearly. And there are some little adjustments like that. But remember we were talking about the whole likeness thing and not fixating on that early on. because there are ways that you can find it as you gradually continue looking freshly. Stuff will be revealed to you that you need to, well, that will round up this person from this angle and all that. It was just wanting to bring that in, because I'd spoken about how when that's dry it's better, but you know, I've spoken about how that'll explain the turn of the nose to you a little bit better once you've got something in there. And maybe just, I don't know who I was saying to, but there was some kind of, just a little bit of shadow here. It was you, Carl, I think. A little bit of a shadow there. Just even a small touch of something can just help to identify again where the face stops and the neck starts. Thanks very much for watching.
No worries.
And you're very welcome to be with us. It's gorgeous Schoolhouse for Art in Enniskerry. Loads of amazing courses on here, isn't there?
Yeah.
And Ellen, thanks ever so much for sitting so beautifully. Okay, all the best. Bye.